Hi everyone, if you're watching this video, it's because you most likely purchased one of our concrete overlay sample kits. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbox it and then I'm gonna show you how to apply it. On a piece of MDF wood. We love MDF because it doesn't flex. It's very rigid, very flat, and we're going to be doing 1 foot by 2 foot, so just 2 square feet. Our sample kit was designed for 2 square feet, and there's actually 3 different coats on this sample board. So the first thing is we have the 3 different steps that you're gonna find in this box. I'll organize those for you. There you go. So step 1, step 2, and step 3. This is our sample kit, and then this is our liquid polymer that you'll actually mix in with each of these steps. So we'll set steps 2 and 3 to the side, and we will just start with step 1 and the liquid polymer. And also inside the box is you will have some tongue depressors. And we've actually cut these flat because they come round. So we've cut the tongue depressors flat so that we can scrape inside of these containers. And so that is what the actual sample kit will look like. First thing you want to do is remove the tape from the liquid polymer. We just do that as a precaution so that the lids don't come loose in the mail. It's not hazardous, won't hurt you, it's water-based product. And then we'll unscrew the lid that says step 1, texture coat. And we need to add 4 ounces of our liquid polymer to the texture coat. So you're gonna take the lid off of this smaller container, and you're gonna squeeze enough for 1 ounce. I'm right at that line. I'm gonna dump it in, and I'm gonna do that 4 times. Perfect. I'm gonna put my lid back on, and I have enough polymer in there for my next 2 steps. And you're just gonna mix this by hand. It's kind of a cementitious based product, so it's not like a resin. It's not like 2 clear resins you mix together. It's a concrete mixture that is polymer modified, so it's flexible, extremely durable. Just keep mixing. You wanna mix slowly. Scrape the bottom, scrape the sides, and it'll slowly get thicker and thicker. Almost like a sandy texture to it. Kind of feels like mud a little bit. You want to make sure there's no more chunks in it. You want it to be thoroughly mixed. And you can mix this with a little hand drill, but it's such a small batch, there's no point in doing that. All right, we've got it all mixed up. There's still some chunks in here, and so I'm not too worried about some of the little tiny chunks, but you want it pretty smooth. You don't want to see a lot of chunks floating around in this. And we use a squeegee. We call this a magic trowel in the industry, but it's basically just a squeegee. I don't expect anyone to buy this while you're doing a sample board, so if you actually go to Home Depot, just in like the window washing section, you can find just a cheap squeegee. If you have a squeegee at home, or maybe even a spatula in your kitchen might work, it'll clean off easy. We're gonna use this just to show you how to spread it out. So I'm gonna take my mix, pour it down the center here, and the first thing I wanna do is actually work the center of the board. I'm not going over the edges yet. I just want to work it near the edges without going over. Once you have it almost all the way over, you can then begin to work it all the way to the edges. And I'm beginning to apply a little bit of pressure to the squeegee and even go over the edge a little bit. Notice how I'm going over, not really concerned about it. Once you have the whole board coated, just give it one final pass and you can actually press down a little bit. I'm actually squeegeeing off some of this. What's happening is that the squeegee is rolling over the aggregate in the mix, and so it's giving you a perfectly consistent layer all the way across the board. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, you don't need to try to gauge the height of this material. It'll just roll along the aggregate that we put in it and level it out perfectly. Isn't that amazing? Don't worry about any of the lines. We have 2 more coats we're going to do. And then I'll just squeegee off the sides. And you can always put this outside, let it dry. You can put a fan on it. Again, there's nothing hazardous about this product. And when this is hard, you'll notice it'll start to dry. When this is hard, it's ready for the second coat. And in the summertime and in the heat, this will be dry and hard within about an hour to 2 hours. So we have a board that's already coated once, and we want to show you how to do the second coat. So wait until this dries, put a fan on it, and then we'll show you the second coat. Now we're going to do our second coat. So this is what the board looks like, feels like. It's awesome. You just made a piece of concrete. So this is phenomenal. And I'm talking, this is a very hard product. You have to really cut through it. I mean, this isn't even primed and it's bonding to this wood like crazy. So, and this is just one coat. Now we're gonna do our second coat. The same process as the first coat, but the difference is we wanna hydrate this just a little bit. So we're just gonna mist it with some water. We just want it a little bit damp. We'll put that to the side. We'll open up our step 2. And again, we're gonna use our Beadix container and we're gonna squeeze in 4 ounces. So we're gonna open up just the small cap, not the big cap. And we're gonna squeeze an ounce at a time. And we're gonna put 4 ounces in here. Mix it in slow, scrape the sides, scrape the bottom. And again, you don't want any chunks. I like to smash it on the side just to try to get rid of some of those chunks a little bit. Just help work it in. Actually, a whisk works really good for this, and if you put a whisk in this and then just immediately just rinsed it off in a small bucket of water, it would clean off immediately. It won't stick on there. Okay, I think that's pretty good, and it's pretty damp. I'm gonna spray again just on that side. We just want it a little bit damp. It doesn't have to be soaking wet. Matter of fact, you don't want there to be puddles of water on it. Just kind of let it soak in for a second. It's a lot like concrete where you'll spray water on it and it'll just look like it soaks in and it'll become darker. That's what we want. So for the second coat, we'll do the same thing. And notice I have a little more chunks in it this time. That's all right, I'll show you how to get that out. Take our squeegee, just gonna move it across, same thing. I'm not going over the edges, I'm just trying to move it across the board and get it as close to the edge as I can without going over. Once I have the board coated, I can just run it off that edge. And if you have little chunks, you can, like, see these chunks? You can just take them and kind of mix them in a little bit on the board. I'm not really concerned about the chunks because I know you can do that. And you're just gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go around and you're gonna run it off the edge. Notice how I'm coating everything. I'm putting a layer of overlay over all of it. We're really adding a lot of build to this board. A lot of rigidity with that second coat. And notice you don't have as many scratch looking marks into the board, all the way down to the board, because everything's just going down to that first layer. And if you did clean the edges, you can always clean the edges if you'd like. Notice we have plastic on this table. And there's your second coat. Same thing, you can let this dry, and you can do this all in one day, especially if you have a fan. As soon as this is dry, we'll show you what to do for that third coat. And if there's some scratches in it that are really bothering you, you can work that liquid and that aggregate into those scratches if you'd like. But this looks good. We're going to sand this and then we'll do the third coat. So we're truly making, it looks like a piece of concrete right now. So phenomenal product for going over even driveways, pool decks, going over your countertops to make them look like concrete countertops. So this is the same process for our larger kits. This is why it's our sample kit. Okay, so before we do the third and final step of the sample board, what we want to do is, now we have 2 coats of the concrete overlay on here, we want to sand this aggregate down. So I just have a palm sander. You can do it by hand, it's not a big area. And don't worry, this is an industrial grade product. You can't hurt this. Don't worry about hurting it. So I have 100 grit sandpaper on a palm sander. If you want to wear a mask, do it outside. Now we have this really cool kind of a concrete textured board. We're gonna wipe it down with some water, clean it, actually hydrate it a little bit with some more water, and then we'll just scratch it with our third and final coat. Okay, now I'm just grabbing some rags. Notice I'm not scared to hurt it. Once this product sets up, you can't hurt it. You just can't hurt it. So it's clean, and notice there's a little bit of a texture to it. That's that awesome concrete look. This is gonna give you so much depth and texture between the coats. So now we'll do step 3. So open up step 3, and this is step 3, scratch coat. So when you open this up, you need 1 1/4 ounces of this. So not as much. So I'm gonna go 1 ounce. And obviously 1/4, we're just gonna go half to the halfway mark. It's about right there. Same thing, we'll just mix it up slow. And this will go a lot farther than the last coats. This doesn't have aggregate in it. So it's actually going to fill in all the low spots and give it a cool 2-tone look. You want to really work it in. You can pour this into another container if you'd like. Don't worry about this product setting up. It's not gonna set up on you, so you can take your time to really mix it in thoroughly. But you want it just a thin, almost like pancake batter a little bit. Notice it doesn't take that much, and then you can just take a spatula, a scraper. This is like a taping knife. Most people have like putty knives, things like that laying around. You could even move it around with this squeegee if you'd like. But notice, I'll show you in a minute, even though it looks like I'm moving this product around, it still is not as tight as I would like it to be. So what we want to do is we actually want to scratch it tight and really expose the highs and the lows of this counter. Well, this is a sample board, but doing it so that you can see what it would be like to do a counter. Very user-friendly product. I'm just getting it on the scraper, and I'm just working it on my edges. Don't worry about what it looks like, just get it to the edges. Get everything filled in. And then we're just gonna pull the entire board. So I put a bunch of it on, and then I pull a bunch of it off. And even after this, we can sand this with like 220, 240, 260, and get it even smoother. But look how beautiful the highs and lows are even now, beginning to fill in that board. And now it's a lot flatter than it was before, and it actually looks like a piece of concrete. You could even do something decorative with this. It looks like you're hanging a piece of concrete on the wall, but I want to give you an idea of how easy our kits are. This is the same exact process for our concrete overlaid countertops and flooring kits. So hope you enjoyed the video, and wonder what you're gonna do with this. You have just made concrete.